questions?
So in the idea of sustainability, when you're doing these adaptive uses, are you trying to incorporate as much energy efficiency and any new energy? Have you done any of the solar or
Sure.
Things like that?
Yeah. More and more our projects are up to LEED certification. Our first LEED qualified projects are on the West Coast in Seattle and in Everett, Washington, and in Santa Cruz as well, where if there's any amount of public subsidy into a project, you have to be at least LEED Silver. That's pretty common on the West Coast. The Midwest and the East are a little bit slower in that regard, but everything that we do is to the highest level of green architecture and sustainability as we possibly can afford. So we have green roofs, we have bioswale. There's lots of different ways, and that's an important thing because energy costs, particularly in the northern city like Fargo, can be challenging. There's a question in the back.
I'm curious about your formula for establishing rents in different markets.
Sure. The rents are actually, for the residential spaces, the rents are determined by HUD. So we don't determine the rents are determined for us within a range, and it's all for people who are at or below 60% of area median income. So it's determined by the county. So there's actually a website that you can go to see what those rent ranges are in any given year. It's called Novogradic. So if you'd like to get that information, I'm happy to help you, or someone from the city can help you with that as well. I don't know what below market rate is in Fargo, but all of these units that we're creating are well below market. And then on the non-residential side, it depends on the location, it depends on so many other factors what the rents are. But the point is to keep it as affordable as possible, otherwise the people that you're creating it for are not going to be able to afford it. Yeah.
If you have a city like Fargo and we have several potential buildings that this could be put in, what are the criteria when you're looking at the buildings themselves? Is it location? Is it size? What are the criteria?
Sure. There's a couple of layers here because we know instinctively now, having done this so many times, what makes a good Artspace project. But we really want the community to kind of lead where they want that to be. And we have no preference whether it's historic preservation or new construction or both. But we want to follow the guidelines or the priorities for a community because it makes sense and because it's easier to get the financing and the funding if you do that. So if the city's priority is to be between this block and this block, then that may be where this project needs to be for now. Because following the lead of your 2030 plan, you would want to create this in an area that makes sense for your economic and redevelopment plans. So we don't really have a priority. We know that the kinds of buildings, if they're already in existence, you can see from the pictures what those look like. High ceilings and durable surfaces and lots of natural light. Those are probably the three ingredients that we're looking for. But even more important is location and having it be a part of a community's priority for redevelopment. Yeah.
You mentioned that you've got some data coming out as far as the economics of this over the years in September. And what are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna put it out nationally or just make it available for those that ask?
Yes, the study that I gave you the highlights from at the beginning of the presentation, we are going to do a national press release about this, and then it will be available on our website. And it's called How Arts Spaces Matter. And it's the second phase of this research that's been done looking at the 5 different projects in 3 different cities. And it's really the first the first of its kind, this research, in terms of looking at the real impact over time. So we're super excited that it's coming out, because we've known these things anecdotally through the years, but more and more people want to know, what's the return on the investment? What are we going to get as a result of these artists moving here? And we know that for some people, it's not about the arts at all. That's a very, secondary, tertiary thing down over here. For some people, it's all about property values and property taxes, but you can bring it all together in projects like these. Other comments, ideas? Otherwise,
Well,
Mike, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I just want to thank Wendy for coming and congratulate her for her good work all over the place. Let's give her a
thank you.
hand. The next item is there will be a community input meeting again, but I encourage everyone to go to Go2030.net. You can read the Town Hall Mind Mixer, and you can also see these presentations, they're video on demand on that site. So you can use it, and we'll use it and spread the
Yeah.
good word. Thank you,
Okay.
Wendy.
Thank you, Mike.
You bet.